this is a good example of what we're going to hear. He's focusing on the exceptions again, because the polling shows there, but again, they can go further.
Provide abortions without consent of parents. Could you imagine having a teenage daughter who needed to have an abortion and the parents didn't have consent?
I could if that daughter was the victim of a rape or incest, in which case your party will allow, not just allow, force that 13-year-old girl to carry her rapist child to pregnancy to term.
But
this idea that, you know, I want to just clarify one thing.
Another messed up thing.
The only difference between Clarence Thomas and the rest of the court is that Clarence Thomas said out loud, and Mike Pence said out loud, what many Republicans, like Alice, will not say. They want the national ban. If they really believe that what is happening is murder, it is inconsistent for you to say a national ban is not the next step. And Republicans care about life until the child is born.
No, here's
and that's where they drop off.
Of course, that's true.
I want to ask this. Well, since
yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, if you really think abortion is murder and that fetuses are living human beings that are being murdered and torn out of the womb, yeah, then the logical next step is like, yeah, murder is wrong, so yeah, we're going to outlaw murder, right? That's another thing. It's like, murder is wrong, but I know women who have had abortions, and I like understand why they did what they did, and I feel for them. But like, if you think abortion is murder, then like you're talking about murderers right now, and you're friends with murderers, and you like sympathize with them, and you're like, well, would you be like reacting like that if they were literally murderers, like they literally murdered like an actual human being? No, you would be horrified. You would be disgusted by them, right? You would not want to be friends with them anymore, right? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I think it's important. The other option is what Democrats want. Democrats are fine with abortion up to delivery. That's unfathomable. They certainly are.
That's not the case.
How many cases of a woman having an abortion at delivery do you know of that have been reported?
I want to ask you.
Just give me a number.
Democrats are fine with that, though. But
this is a stalking horse of the Republican Party. Instead of giving women the rights, you want to give Mike Pence and Clarence Thomas the rights over a majority of American women.
Yeah, so that's a red herring. Over 90% of abortions happen within the first trimester. So yeah, it's totally a distraction, a red herring, to talk about the rare instances of late-term abortions. I mean, I don't think a third trimester abortion like hardly ever happens. The thing is like nobody changes their mind after 4, 5, or 6 months of carrying a child. They're not like, oh yeah, I carried the child for 3 months, but I changed my mind and I don't want it anymore and I want it out of me. No, if you don't want to be pregnant, you know within the first 3 months. Like, and then like all the other abortions are done for like medical reasons, like the things we talked about before, like they need a medical procedure and can't have a baby inside of them. They learn that the baby is the fetus is non-viable and it can't function, it can't form properly, or it's going to cause some health problems for the woman, and yeah, there's no other reasonable option other than to abort. So yeah, and the other thing is like, they're talking about late-term abortions. Okay, so then outlaw late-term abortion. If that's the thing you have a problem with, then you can outlaw that. Allow abortion within the first six weeks or 3 months or whatever. I mean, but they're not even doing that. I mean, 6 weeks is pushing it, because it's like you don't know you're pregnant until like a few weeks in. But like, if that's really what you're worried about, then just let people have abortions. Like, the 94% of the time that they do have abortions, right? But
so the point is that the right has been able to create these sort of fake hypotheticals. And yes, it is wrong to abort a baby after it's been born. And Democrats...
Yeah, post-birth abortion. Yeah, that's literally just murder. Right? I mean, yeah, killing babies is wrong.
Want to do this.
They do this all the time, by the way. Torture's okay because we all live in 24, and there's a ticking time bomb, and you get to torture somebody in order to stop a terrorist attack. Would you do it?
The dynamic.
That was a thing Scalia actually said. Antonin Scalia. He was like, "Oh, you're going to outlaw torture? Well, what about the time in 24 when Jack Bauer had to torture that guy to stop a nuke from going off in LA or whatever?" Yeah, it's literally like your perception of the world is formed through like media consumption, because there are boomers who just watch TV all day, etc.
It's going to shift dramatically now. because they're not going to be able to say the idea of Democrats would have you abort your baby at 9 months.
9 months abortion.
That is not going
You can't
to
do that.
carry the same weight when it is compared to women who have died because they've been denied healthcare. That is not.
Yeah, that's a hypothetical. Like, abortion at 8 months when the baby is almost ready to come out. That literally, like, almost never happens. But, like, women dying because they can't get abortions, that does happen, and it's going to happen a lot more.
Not going to carry the same weight when these bans are all actually implemented and we start to hear the horror stories. Democrats should get out in front of this, should make it clear, and they can be shown, essentially, like, this is the future that's coming, and that future's not going to take long to get here.
Oh,
The
yeah.
future's now. You see reports
The
from
future
nurses
is
and from
now.
doctors saying
Oh,
that they're
man.
terrified to deal with ectopic pregnancies and all these other medical issues because they could be prosecuted. They could be fined hundreds of thousands of dollars in certain states. I mean, the effect is
That's
already
messed up.
happening. And, like, Democrats should seize this opportunity. I have yet to see any Democrat, except for, frankly, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been aggressive in proposing solutions and has been out there. But besides her, the whole
yeah.
Biden administration is expressing chagrin.
Oh yeah, AOC has been really cool. She's the only one, like, putting out, like, an action plan for, like, what to do. Yeah, it seems like the White House is just weak. It's a lame duck presidency. It's Biden is barely conscious at this point. Honestly, it might be ethical to abort Biden. Well, almost. That's a joke, of course. But I mean, yeah, if he does not possess any consciousness, then, like, he's not really alive, is he? He's just a zombie or whatever.
And sadness about the decision that we all knew was coming, but that in 2017 Nancy Pelosi said was no longer really a pressing issue for Democrats electorally.
Or how Obama said codifying Roe v. Wade into law is not a legislative priority right now. I mean, I know that, like, he had a lot of other stuff to get done, but, like, what about in 2009 when, like, he had a supermajority and can just, like, ram anything through Congress, through the Senate? Oh man, Democrats could have done so much stuff with 60 votes, but they did nothing with it. It's so disappointing. Like, who knows if it was just like, oh, them acting like this gentleman's agreement of bipartisanship politics still existed, and like they had to work with the Republicans, even though Republicans were intent on like never working with the Democrats, or if they're just controlled opposition and they didn't actually want to do anything positive because it would upset their donors. I mean, could be a little bit of both. Could be, it's probably, yeah, that they just didn't want to really do much about it. They didn't want to, they didn't really want to pass, like, universal health care. They wanted to do the Republican plan from 20 years ago, because they wanted to play it safe. They didn't want to do anything too radical because, yeah, they were afraid of the consequences. But what about the consequences of not being radical, huh? What about the consequences of being like little bitches who never do any bold action? I mean, the Republicans are bold, okay? They take action when it is time to take action. And yeah, they do terrible stuff. They mobilize to do like bad stuff, but like at least they're willing to do something. At least they are willing to move. That's something I respect about the Republicans. At least, I mean, that, like, they are capable of, like, swift and decisive action. Yeah.
Look it up. We all could see it was coming with the Trump administration and the extremists that he was appointing to the court, but yeah.
Yeah, the Republicans said, yeah, we want to overturn Roe v. Wade. They've been saying it for years, for decades, and yeah, we're all surprised when they do it, when they have a majority on the courts. Yeah, it's like, of course they're going to do it. Like, did you think that they were going to be nice? Do you think they're going to play nice? The Republicans haven't been playing nice since the 90s, or like even the 80s. It all goes back to Reagan, really. Like half this country's problems can be traced back to that one individual who was like the original Trump. Yeah, like, it's like Republicans have been playing power politics for decades, and Democrats still believe in this illusion that we have to be nice to each other to compromise and reach a consensus. There is no compromising with these people. There is no consensus to be made. We don't agree on anything, so how can we form a consensus. These people are just like too radical. They're too set in their own ways. They're too they're like entitled. They're entitled to believing that like they have the right to enforce their own world view on like the whole country. So yeah, Democrats have to learn how to play the same game as them. They have to learn how to embrace that like urgent rhetoric, because like what are we hearing from the White House? Like all these like milquetoast things, all these like, did you see the Kamala Harris interview where she's asked like, so what are you going to do? The American people put you in power. They voted you in by a pretty big margin to give you this power to do stuff. So what are you going to do? And Kamala's like, do what? Like, what do you want us to do? It's like, do something. Literally anything. Just do literally one thing. We put you into power to do things, so just do anything, please. Literally, just do one thing that will make this problem better. Just, like, the idea of, like, making abortion clinics on federal land. Like, I mean, they were asked about that, but she said, in a very roundabout way, like, no, we're not going to do that. She was like, oh, you know, we've been talking about this, and, like, our plan is to, like, make it easier to empower women, etc., etc. And she's like, oh, the interview was like, oh, so are you gonna do that? And she's like, oh, well, that's not in our plans right now. Okay, so the answer is no. Okay, so that's what you meant. You could have just said no, you stupid woman. So yeah, it's the Democrats are this weak. Kamala was never meant to lead. She was never supposed to run. I mean, do you remember how many people were running on the Democrat side? Like, we thought the Republicans in 2016 was a clown show, but like, Democrats in 2020 were so much worse. So, like, they had to have two separate debates full of, like, randos who were never gonna win because, like, there are too many. And it's like, these people have to know that they don't have a chance of winning, right? They don't actually believe, like, I mean, Pete Buttigieg maybe believed he had a chance. I mean, he got the transportation secretary, and look how much he's doing with that, but right? But like Kamala Harris might have believed that she could win, but like, and she got like the vice presidency. But let's be real, the only reason she was picked is because one, she's a woman, and two, she's non-white. Like, she's part black, part Indian, and it was during the whole BLM thing, so it was like having a black woman was super important, right? Having a black person, and yeah, she was affirmative action her into the White House. Like, I don't want to sound like a Republican, but like it's sort of true. She was picked because of identity politics, not because of her actual like skills, rhetoric, politicking skills, and yeah. She had some good moments in the debates, but like she abandoned all her like progressive talking points, and then just like became like a centrist. And now whenever she's asked a tough question, she just laughs. She tries to laugh it off, like, oh, I'm not doing anything, and I don't have the ability to do anything. Like, what are you laughing at, bitch? Like, shut the fuck up and do something. You're literally the vice president. At least, if you can't do anything, at least learn how to give a good speech, right? Can you just do that for me, please? Can you do that for us? Like, it's kind of like Obama. Like, Obama didn't do much, but at least he could give a good speech, right? At least he was charismatic. Like, the Democrats don't even have that. Kamala, Biden, they aren't even charismatic. Like, that's all we can ask of Democrats now, is to just be able to give a good speech. And Obama, like, maybe he wasn't good rhetorically in the way Republicans are good at rhetorically, at like really grabbing your emotions, grabbing it at like your core and like directing you to do this. Like, if you do not do this, America will literally collapse. But Obama appealed to like this different sense of like high-minded, like professionalism. Democrats have to do that. Anyway, I've been rambling about like Kamala and how much I hate her and the Democrats in general. So yeah, let's keep going.
Yes, they're completely ill-prepared, and there are a variety of things that Biden could try to do right now. like putting abortion clinics and providers on federal lands, which Kamala Harris says they aren't even considering at this point.
Oh.
So what is
Well, pre-watched.
the response? And this is the issue with popularism as connected to the Democratic agenda, because it doesn't matter how popular anything is. Universal background checks, 90% popularity. Abortion rights, incredibly popular in this country. And if they don't seize the power to do it doesn't really matter what's popular, because they don't choose to do anything about it.
This is, I want to show an example of a tweet by someone who has had...
Yeah, it's like, background checks, 90% of Americans agree that, like, it's a good idea to have, like, some restrictions on, like, being able to buy a gun. Like, at least check to see if the guy you're selling a gun to is a psycho or not before doing that, right? Or at least have waiting periods so you can't buy a gun when you're having, like, a psychotic episode and then get the gun while you're still having the psychotic episode, right? I mean, that's just common sense, but, like, Democrats can't even do that because they're so, like, feckless and powerless, and they are scared to do anything. Like, at least, like, you can appeal to that common sensibility, but, like, they don't even do that. They can't do that. They don't have the rhetorical skills to do that. Like, the whole, BLM thing in 2020, like, BLM had a positive perception, very positive, like over 60% of Americans or something supported the BLM movement at the beginning of it, like right after George Floyd was killed. A lot of Americans thought, like, the burning of the police department in, what was it, Indianapolis, where George Floyd was killed, they thought, like, setting fire, literally arson, was justified. But, like, Democrats and leftist movements, they sort of failed with the rhetoric. They lost the messaging battle. They a few really dumb activists started the phrase defund the police as a slogan, and the Republicans, like, latched onto that because it really is a dumb idea to defund the police, like in its purest, like, sense. Like how do you think, like, the average American is going to interpret that? Like, oh, defund the police, so there's not going to be police to, like, stop crimes. Well, then you have to explain, like, oh, we mean defund the police and use that funds to fund social programs to reduce crime in other ways. But, like, if you have to explain that just to get people to understand, like, the slogan is not so bad, then it's a bad slogan. The slogan shouldn't need to be defended so much. So yeah, and, like, so there are, like, the moderates in the center of the party, or the center of the spectrum, that, like, are too scared to do anything, are too scared of, like, doing anything too radical that will, like, alienate the centrist moderate voter. And then there are the actual radicals who are like really dumb, and, like, they don't really fully understand the issue they're talking about. Like, some people, like, just really hate the cops, right? They only have ever had negative experiences with the cops, and they don't know about, like, all the good stuff that cops do. Because I hate to admit it, but cops do some good things sometimes. Like, you need someone to catch the criminals, right? But, like, some leftists can't even acknowledge that. So for some people, defund the police literally means defund the police. Like, yeah, we don't want any more police officers. Some people want to abolish the police, which, I mean, you're going to have some kind of police, right, to deter crime. I'm sorry, but, like, that's the truth. So yeah, the left needs to work on their messaging, really.